Last night at 2:17 a.m., every child from Mrs. Gandy's class woke up, got out of bed, went downstairs, opened the front door, walked into the dark, and they never came back. Pretty chilling way to start, right? Welcome back to the deep dive. Today, we're diving deep into Weapons. It's the new R-rated horror film from Zach Cregger, director of Barbarian. Our mission today is to unpack this really unique story, dig into the kind of surprising real-life inspiration behind it, look at its, frankly, amazing box office success, and figure out why critics and audiences are calling it this unapologetic epic.
And we've really cast a wide net for sources here. We've got everything from like the early production reports, lots of behind-the-scenes interviews with Cregger and the cast, right through to pretty detailed box office analysis.
Who gives us a good picture?
Yeah, a really comprehensive view of, what the film is, how it got made, and why it's making such a big impact right now.
Okay, so let's start with the core mystery itself. It kicks off in this small town, Maybrook, Pennsylvania. 17 third graders just disappear, vanish at exactly 2:17 in the morning.
Right, and only one kid from the class, Alex Lilly, is left behind.
Which immediately puts the spotlight on their teacher, Gandy. But the detail that really sticks with you from those early descriptions is that image.
Oh, yeah.
The kids caught on Ring cameras, running out with their arms stretched wide open like airplanes. Just super creepy and really original.
It absolutely sets the tone. And, looking at the sources, what's really striking is Zach Cregger's ambition for this. After Barbarian, which was huge, he described Weapons as more ambitious in almost every way. And not just budget-wise, though the budget is bigger.
Right.
He said it's weirder and twistier and bigger with way more actors, bigger set pieces. He even calls it melancholy, but then says it has comedic situations.
That's quite a mix. Melancholy and comedy in a horror film.
Yeah, and a sprawling ensemble. But he insists the characters are fully developed. He seems to really love this bold scale, calling it unapologetic, this is an epic.
That does sound like a tricky balancing act.
Yeah.
Aiming for weird and melancholy, but throwing in comedy. How do you even manage that in horror without it feeling messy?
That's the challenge, right? But it seems like he's very intentional about it. He wants to scare you more than just shock you. He talked about making it more fun in that dark, unsettling horror way compared to maybe some other recent thoughtful horror.
Okay.
But he's also careful not to get too abstract, like maybe Beau is Afraid felt to some people. The comedy isn't forced jokes. He says it's a necessary release, comes from authentic character reactions to insane situations.
Right, lets you breathe before the next scare hits harder.
Exactly, makes the scares land better.
Now, as interesting as Cregger's vision is, the real depth here might come from something unexpected. The film opens with this little girl's voice saying, "This is a true story." And, okay, it's not literally a true story like a documentary.
Yeah.
But the inspiration. That part is very real, isn't it?
It really is.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not a true crime thing at all. Cregger actually revealed he wrote Weapons to sort of process his own emotions. It was after the sudden death of his close friend and collaborator Trevor Moore back in August 2021.
Oh, wow. From the whitest kids you know. I remember that. It was tragic. An accidental fall, right?
Yeah, exactly. An accidental fall, blunt force head trauma, high blood alcohol content mentioned in the reports. Cregger called the film incredibly personal and said it has legitimately autobiographical chapters. He used writing it to kind of reckon with his grief.
That's pretty incredible, to channel that kind of raw, personal grief into a horror movie. Does that risk turning off viewers just looking for scares, or does it actually make the horror maybe deeper?
Well, it's definitely a fine line, but judging by the reviews and the audience scores, that emotional core seems to be hitting home. It adds this layer, goes beyond just jump scares, It turns it into this exploration of trauma.
Which might actually pull people in who want something more substantial.
Could be. It really shows how horror, which sometimes gets dismissed, can be this powerful way to process really difficult real-world stuff like loss. It's almost cathartic.
It really makes you stop and think, doesn't it? How artists deal with loss and then channel it into their work, especially in a genre like horror. So unexpected.
Absolutely. It's a reminder that even, the most out there stories can have these deep human roots. And that vulnerability, in a weird way, makes the scary parts even more effective.
And the way the story itself unfolds is kind of complex, maybe reflecting that confusion of grief. It uses what they call an interrelated multi-story approach. The point of view keeps shifting.
Yeah, we follow several key people. There's Justine Gandy, the teacher, played by Julia Garner. Then Archer Graff, a parent of one of the missing kids, played by Josh Brolin.
Right. And Officer Paul Morgan, Justine's ex, Alden Ehrenreich, and Anthony, who's described as a homeless drug addict.
Mm-hmm. And something really interesting came out in the script, reviews Cregger's commitment to writing full scenes, like proper beginning, middle, end for each scene, even with all these different threads weaving together.
Okay, so what does that actually do for the viewer?
Well, it seems simple, but it's key. It stops you from getting totally disoriented with all the jumping around. It lets you have these little mini stories within the bigger picture. It makes it feel cohesive.
Unlike some modern films that feel more like quick cuts or fragments.
Exactly. Some critics call that scene fragment writing. Cregger's approach here helps keep you engaged emotionally with each character's immediate situation before moving on. It's why this complex story hangs together so well, apparently.
He's aiming for originality in the horror itself, too, not just the structure. Like, deliberately avoiding things like mirror jump scares.
Totally. That image of the kids running with their arms out, it's cited again and again as creepy and original, a fresh visual for the genre.
And we keep coming back to this blend of horror and laughs.
Yeah, and Cregger sees the laughs as necessary for tension and release. But again, he stresses they have to come from character authenticity, not forced punchlines. It's the situation itself, the reaction, that's funny but not funny.
Gotcha. Okay, let's talk about this cast because it's stacked. Julia Garner as Justine, Josh Brolin as Archer. You mentioned Alden Ehrenreich. Austin Abrams is in it. Carrie Christopher as Alex Lilly, the boy who remains. Benedict Wong, too.
Yeah, Benedict Wong plays Marcus Miller, and Amy Madigan as Gladys. And the characters they play, especially Justine and Archer, they're carrying a lot. Deep internal struggles.
Right, the addiction theme seems pretty central.
It is. Many characters are described as addicts or facets of an addict's psyche. Both Justine and Archer are dealing with sobriety issues. The actors talked about this, how their characters look maybe under control and normal on the surface.
But underneath.
Yeah, they're on the verge of some kind of breakdown. It creates this powder keg feeling throughout. There's this exploration of denial and that really fine line between hope and just delusion.
Okay, so maybe a quick heads up for listeners. We're going to get into some spoilers now for the plot specific.
Good call. Yeah, spoiler warning if you haven't seen it yet.
So the antagonist, Gladys, played by Amy Madigan, introduced as Alex's aunt, but she's not.
Not at all. Turns out she's a witch. She has this weird potted tree, and she uses it to stay young by basically feeding on youthful energy.
And she forces Alex, the little boy, to help her.
Right. She makes him collect personal items from his classmates to fuel this tree, threatening his parents to make him comply. It's pretty dark.
And the climax sounds intense. Alex figures out how to use her own ritual against her.
Yeah, he gets some of her hair, copies the ritual, and breaks her control. This leads to all the possessed kids turning on her. They chase her down, dismember her, decapitate her. It's brutal, but it breaks the curse.
Wow, that's graphic. But it's like Alex reclaiming control in the most visceral way possible.
Exactly. But the ending isn't clean. It's described as bittersweet, quite haunting, actually. Alex ends up moving away to live with a different relative because his parents are institutionalized. They're just broken by everything.
And the other kids.
They're reunited with their families, but they're catatonic. Just empty shells. The film mentions that only some even begin to speak again years later. It leaves you with this sense of profound, lasting trauma.
Yeah.
No easy fix.
That really underscores the grief theme, doesn't it? Loss isn't something you just get over.
Definitely. And it's interesting, the actors talked about building these characters. They said even if the full backstory isn't shown, they worked with Cregger to create this huge history behind the scenes. They had personal secrets for their characters to make them feel lived in.
Which probably adds to that feeling of depth, even if you can't put your finger on exactly why.
For sure.
Okay, shifting gears a bit. Let's talk about the real-world reaction. Because Weapons has been a monster at the box office. Budget was, what, $38 million?
Yep, around $38 million. And it opened to an incredible $42.5 million domestically. Topped the box office easily.
And it hit a big milestone for Warner Bros.
Huge. It made them the first studio ever to have 6 movies in a row open at #1 with over $40 million. And its worldwide opening weekend, as of August 10th, 2025, was $70 million.
That's massive.
especially
for an original horror film.
Yeah.
That's the key thing. It's not a sequel, not based on a famous book or anything. It's not like Signs or The Meg, which had some built-in awareness. This shows people will still turn up for something totally new if it looks compelling.
And the critics seem to agree it's compelling. Certified fresh on Rotten Tomatoes, 95% based on 234 reviews. That's really high.
It is. And universal acclaim on Metacritic with an 81 out of 100 from 46 critics. Audiences gave it an A Cinema score too, which is great for horror.
What are some of the things critics highlighted?
Lots of praise. Things like expertly crafted, a sophomore triumph for Cregger, a significant step up from Barbarian, calling it a cruel and twisted bedtime story that gracefully balances different tensions. Okay, but that 95%, that did stir up some online chat, didn't it? Some people saying it was good, but 95% good.
Yeah, exactly. And it kind of brings up that classic misunderstanding about Rotten Tomatoes. It's important for listeners for you to remember. 95% doesn't mean critics gave it an average score of 9.5 out of 10.
Right. It means 95% of those critics thought it was good, like thumbs up, more good than bad. Not necessarily a masterpiece.
Precisely. So a film lots of critics think is pretty good, maybe a 7/10 will get a very high percentage, whereas a film that some critics adore, 10/10, but others hate, 3/10, might get a lower score. It measures consensus, not average quality score.
That's such a crucial distinction. And maybe this whole discussion around weapons reflects how we, consume movies now. There's this constant pressure for everything to be a masterpiece, maybe. We sometimes overlook just a really solid, impactful, original film.
I think so. It's like we forget that really good is still really good. And maybe horror as a genre is maturing to a place where it can deliver that kind of resonant personal storytelling alongside the scares.
So wrapping up, weapons really does seem to stand out.
Yeah.
Not just as effective horror, but as something deeply personal, structurally interesting. Cregger's definitely evolving as a filmmaker.
No doubt. And thinking about that central mystery, the kids vanishing, the town's reaction, kind of leaves you wondering, doesn't it? What does the film say about how we react when things happen that we just can't explain?
How we look for answers, or maybe how we look for someone to blame.
Yeah, maybe projecting blame instead of facing tougher truths about ourselves or our communities. It makes you think about how art, like this film, can be a scary space, sure, but a space to process those real-world fears and anxieties. It definitely leaves you with a lot to chew on after it's over.